This is our cardiac performance assessment. My name is Karmen Pang. My AMP ID is 4.20.
I'm Victoria Wittenbrock. My AMP ID is 4.33.
I'm Destiny Duran Gonzales, and my AMP ID is 4.7.
Okay, so this is the heart. This would be the ventral side of the heart, which would face towards the chest, and this would be the dorsal side of the heart, which would face towards the back. And okay, this would be the right atrium, and then this would be the right ventricle, and then this area right here would be the left ventricle, and this area would be the left atrium, and then this would be the right auricle and the left auricle, and then this would be the brachiocephalic artery, this would be the aorta right here, this would be the aortic arch, this would be the pulmonary trunk, this would be where the pulmonary veins are, and then this would be the superior vena cava, and then
You're gonna break it.
the other side is down here is the inferior vena cava. And then this is the apex of the heart.
Pulmonary trunk.
Yeah, I said this is the
okay.
pulmonary trunk. Okay. And then on the inside of the heart, okay, so then the heart is located in the thoracic cavity of the chest, and it's in the center, but it's tilted slightly to the left. So the apex of the heart would point towards the hip, and the top portion of the heart would point towards the shoulder. The base would point towards the shoulder, and then okay, what else? Okay, it's the heart is about the size of between 1 and 2 fists, and oh my gosh, size shape. Oh, it's a hollow cone shape. Okay, and then for the lining of the walls of the heart and the covering, this would be the area where the endocardium is located, and it's made up of the same cells that compose blood vessels. And then this area right here would be the myocardium, which is made up of cardiac tissue, and it has intercalated discs, which involuntarily control the contraction of the heart. And then on the outside of the heart would be the pericardium, which when it comes in contact with the heart is the epicardium, and it serves to protect the heart and cushion it.
We're going to talk about why this is bigger.
Wait, am I supposed to talk about why it's bigger?
Yeah, just
go for it.
The heart is referred to as a double pump because it is divided into two sides, the right and the left, by the interventricular septum. The right atrium is the right superior chamber, and the right ventricle is the right inferior chamber.
Yeah.
The right atrium receives deoxygenated blood through the superior and inferior vena cava, and the right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs through the pulmonary artery or pulmonary trunk. And the left atrium is the left superior chamber in the heart, and the left ventricle is the left inferior chamber of the heart, and the left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the lungs through the pulmonary veins, and the left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to the head through the aorta, or oxygenated blood to the head to
the body.
Oxygenated blood to the body through the aorta, and oxygenated blood to the head through the brachiocephalic artery. And the process of blood going from the heart to the lungs is known as the pulmonary circuit, and the process of blood going from the heart to the rest of the body is known as the systemic circuit. And the serous fluid reduces friction in the pericardial cavity because it lubricates the epicardial surface, and it allows the membranes to glide over each other.
Okay. For my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. I'm so itchy. Keep closing. Okay. So the blood will flow through the heart from the body through the superior and inferior vena cava into the right atrium. So up here, the blood will fill the right atrium and flow across the tricuspid valves into the right ventricle, And when the ventricle contracts, it closes the valves by pulling the coronae tendineae. And what this does is it increases the intraventricular pressure of the ventricle, and because it's going to become greater than the pressure in the artery, the blood will be pushed across the pulmonary semilunar valves into the pulmonary artery. And there are two types of valves. There's atrioventricular, which separates the right atrium and the left ventricle, and there's semilunar valves, which separates the left ventricle from the arteries.
You mean right ventricle?
Well, both ventricles from the arteries. Okay. So after the blood leaves the heart and goes to the lungs, it becomes oxygenated, and it comes back to the heart to become distributed through the pulmonary veins. So the bloods will enter the left atrium through the pulmonary veins, and then will cross the bicuspid valve into the left ventricle. And when the papillary muscle pulls the coronae tendineae, it will...
Back off, girl. That's my part.
Just say it again. Anyways, the cusp will close, and the interventricular pressure will become greater than the pressure in the aortic arteries, so it will push the cusp against the walls and distribute blood to the body. So the blood will exit through the aorta to the body, or the brachiocephalic artery to the head.
Okay. On the inside, I'll just reiterate what Karmen said. This stringy portion is the coronae tendineae, and the part that it's connected to down here is the papillary muscle, and then it's connected up here and up here to the valves. So when the papillary muscle contracts, it pulls the coronae tendineae, and it controls the opening and closing of the valve. So it controls blood, and it regulates blood flow through the heart.
Collagen.
Yes, and the coronae tendineae are made, consist mostly of collagen fibers when they pull. And then, okay, and then in a fetus heart.
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yeah, I'll just identify it. So there are two remnants of the fetal heart. So the fetal heart has something called the ductus arteriosus, which connects these two arteries. And over here you can see the ligamentus arteriosum, so that's a remnant. And then there's another one called the
Foramen ovale, and the foramen ovale is in the middle, and it connects the two chambers, the atrium and the heart, because it regulates the blood flow in a fetus, because the blood doesn't need to exit the heart and go to the lungs, because it gets the fetus gets the nutrients from the mother through the placenta. So it connects the chambers on the inside, and then the ductus arteriosus would connect the blood flow from the pulmonary artery to the aorta, so that it can bypass the lungs, and then it disappears when it as it grows and develops.
Do we say it's called the fossa ovalis?
Yeah, we said
Okay.
fossa ovalis. And then I don't know. Ooh, I just want to mention it just in case I didn't before. The heart is a hollow cone shape, so I'm not sure if I said that at the beginning. Is that everything?
Hopefully.